to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast.
Welcome back. This is the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. Thank you all so much for dropping in with us. We're welcoming you to episode 36. Big week behind us and much more coming ahead. A lot of stuff, a lot of action. How was your week this week in the Warzone? At my side, 10-Inch Cowboy.
It was great. As you said, great week behind us. A lot of coming in front of us. It's incredible. We did our first stream, which we're going to talk about, which was an experience in itself. Everyone that tuned in, thank you so much. Felt good. Also very difficult to know that people are watching you play when you're not at a top tier level. Really makes you realize, makes you think about every move you make. We'll talk about that. But the week was good. Yeah, I mean, it really all revolved around that. Got some good gaming in before that. I haven't played since we streamed, to be honest. I just kind of, I blew my whole energy cycle into the stream, but I'm ready to get back at it. How was your week?
Well, yes, jam-packed week, in anticipation for the big debut live stream like you just touched on. I really wanted to get in there, refine my skills, and get the sweat flowing. I really felt like I did that. I actually had a rarity this week. I got a win on Verdansk, which I'm only dropping in there a handful of times a week. Somehow got a win. I myself only contributing 1 kill, I believe was probably in the gulag. So very on brand there. But Rebirth, I mean, we might as well, rename this podcast to the Rebirth Island Amateur Hour podcast, because that's really been our Warzone experience lately. Has that been the same for you?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember this win. Was I a part of that?
No, you were not. I was playing without you, with some fellow amateurs. We got it done.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't remember that. Can't remember the last time I got a win on Verdansk. We basically exclusively play Rebirth these days. Verdansk just is like, it's such a time commitment, and I end up dying so quickly, and it's just so much effort for so little get back right now, in the current state of the game,
Yeah, it is. It's way more intense. Whereas like on Rebirth, when you hop into a fresh match of Rebirth, those opening minutes are really exhilarating. You're going into gunfights, you're hungry. Whereas on like when we're rocking the Verdansk, it's like I'm fucking frightened everywhere. I'm looting. We're trying to get to 10,000. We're not quite there. Oh, now we have to go to a buy station to buy it, and it's like that's frightening in and of itself. It's a much more like fear-based experience.
Yes. At our caliber, our level of play, it's definitely more fear-based. Rebirth, I feel like we gravitate towards it. It's fun because you are constantly engaging with people, obviously. You could try different weapons. You're getting like a lot more feedback on your gameplay because you're getting in more gunfights. You're having more, it's different. And the best part about Rebirth is that for the most part, you kind of have a chance to get to the last circle. Maybe not the last circle, but like you're playing deeper into the game, so you get that adrenaline rush more often when you're playing Rebirth. I find that, after a great Rebirth win, you got the shakes, you're all excited, you're feeling the flow of a win. That happens so much more often, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think that's, as I said, Verdansk is a fear-based game mode. Rebirth definitely an adrenaline-based game mode, like you said. Like, that's what you play for is the end game. You can scrap your way there even if you're not having the best round. Some people might think that's a bad thing. But on the flip side, I will say I watched a video last week sometime that really kind of changed my headspace, my perspective. It was by, a streamer we both enjoy. Z-Laner put out a video. It was basically like him breaking down his own gameplay, and he was analyzing it. And his main thing off the top is he said, like, don't worry about KD if you're trying to get better at the game. You need to be getting in as many gunfights as you can, and that's how you're going to get better. And I kind of like got that mindset during the week, and that was really how I approached it, and it brought me some luck. It changes your perspective when you go into things like more hungry for it.
Yeah, I haven't done the hunger route in Verdansk specifically. In Rebirth, I'm much more likely to obviously charge somebody or like push a team or push someone if I think they're alone, obviously, because if I die, I'm coming right back. It's like in Verdansk, I've just committed 15 minutes of my life gone to get to a point in the game in which if I push this team, I have to wait another 15 minutes to get back in this position. You know what I mean? It's like, there's nothing worse than just sitting there, dying in the beginning of a Verdansk match and your teammate can't buy you back because they don't have the money. And you're waiting, 10, 15 minutes to get back in there, and then they die, and then you do the whole thing over again. It's just, Rebirth is so much simpler. It's so much more fun.
Yeah, so thank God they introduced that however many months ago. Not sure where the podcast, if it would even be existing these days. But, speaking of which, watching You Hungry, that kind of brings us right into it. Our first main topic, which was, yes, we had our first ever Warzone Amateur Hour live stream this past week. It was Friday night, July 30th. We went live thanks to everyone that supported it, that took part watching it or watched the replay, shared and commented. We really appreciate that. I gotta say, you kicked it off, set a high bar, and especially in some of those early games. I think it was our first or third or something game. We each had 7 kills during the round, which is pretty unheard of for us too.
Yeah.
I went and rewatched from your POV. I gotta say, I was impressed by what I was seeing there.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, that game specifically was probably the best game you and I have played. I can't recall a game in which combined we had 14 kills. That was and got the victory. That was a very exceptional game. So yeah, I'm really happy that it came while people were watching. But in the beginning, it was a trip because, we're broadcasting through the PlayStation 5. So the notes, if people are writing messages or comments on the stream, it's coming up in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, my monitor that I'm watching, that I'm playing on. And it took me 20 minutes to settle into the idea that I had to put that out of my mind, because I'm thinking I'm reading this shit. I'm trying to play the game. I want to talk about what I'm reading. It's it gave me a much different outlook on streamers and a lot more respect for certain streamers that do such a good seamless job of, playing the game, being focused, but then also changing their attention to comments and all of that. It was a wild experience. And then knowing that people are watching you, it was I found myself thinking about things way other than the gameplay. When I'm playing on my own and no one's watching, you're in the zone, you're feeling it. It's it's an art in itself to get in the zone while people are watching you. So I respect streamers a lot. I feel like I found the zone eventually. Like you talked about, we both had that 7-kill game, which was pretty impressive, I must say myself. I don't usually play that well. I really think that my new controller layout that you've been pushing, the tactical setup that I'm now using, that is the stepping stone to get to the tactical. What is it called? The tactical...
Bumper Jumper Tactical.
The Bumper Jumper Tactical. I've kind of found the groove of the tactical now. I really like it. And I think that was also responsible for it. But how did you feel? I mean, it's a different ballgame when people are watching you.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I didn't really have the pressure on me to start. You started off with the stream. I was feeling good. I felt like my energy levels were good. But then when it came time for me to host, it was I felt a lot of pressure. I started to crack under the pressure. I was like,
Whoa.
Hey, the chat's not coming through on my end. I thought I was having some technical hiccups. I'm checking YouTube on my phone, and then I'm sitting there floating, and then I realized, well, now the viewers are just watching me sit here floating. And then my energy, I rewatched I'm really disappointed in my energy levels, and my audio mix was all fucked up. So it's I'm mumbling on the goddamn chat when I'm supposed to be leading it, supposed to be the star of the show. And I just feel like I let it fucking down, man. I let it down.
Wow, you had a full-on mental breakdown first time streaming. That's good though. Only way up. The only direction now is up, so that's great.
Man, I got a newfound appreciation, like you said. But, I was pleased with my gameplay. I feel like I had some good rounds. I was averaging a few kills. I had a lot of dope little plays. In speaking of that Bumper Jumper Tactical, one unforeseen benefit I've since found is, apparently the real slide cancel you're supposed to do is to go crouch, crouch, jump. You can still achieve a slide cancel of sorts by just going crouch, crouch, crouch. But the crouch, crouch, jump, once you get a hang of it, which is now really easy with having the jump on my left bumper, you fly around the map. I started to feel a little smoother. I'm jumping, I'm doing that. So that was cool. gameplay part pleased, but you know, in terms of like streaming persona, we even had a listener comment on the YouTube thing. He's like, what's going on? So, you know, give me another chance, man.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch your stream. So I don't know. But yeah, you know, it's tough, dude. It's tough. I learned a lot. You know, I think the highlight of the streaming was us playing with that dude the last game we played. What was his name? It started with a K, and he was
Cueto.
Cueto was the best. Sneaky, he had like 7 kills or something like that game. You know, he did the classic like, oh, I'm not playing very well, I'm not that good, and then goes out there and shows us all up. We almost got the victory. He was the last one alive. It was like 8:15 p.m. I think when we played with him Pacific time, because we're in California. And this dude's in Scotland playing at like 4:15, 4:30 in the morning his time, just like a champion. So shout out to Quaalude. What was his name?
Cueto.
Shout out to Cueto.
We also got to give a shout out to the other listener we dropped in with at the beginning. UAV found my dad. Fantastic username.
I love it.
And also, the main thing when we were looking through the friends list, kind of on the spot, deciding who to add, we're looking for who's rocking that Warzone Amateur Hour regiment tag. Both those guys were. Both were fantastic to play with. Didn't get a victory with either, but came close in both instances. And yeah, Cueto, got to hand it to him, the dedication playing from overseas. It's such an early hour, incredible time. We hope to get more listeners in the mix every time we're streaming.
I think it was a late hour. I don't think it was an early hour. I think it was a late night situation. He had been up for a while playing.
Okay.
Did you think he woke up and then hopped on, or do you?
No. I mean, I can either way. I consider like 4 a.m. as an early at that point. It doesn't matter if I've been up all night or not. It's fucking early. But whatever, you know, semantics there. Salute to them. Positive first stream. We're gonna try and stream more down the future. If you guys were into it, please share the feedback. If there's like a day or time you feel like would be better, we're open to that.
Yeah, I guess that's the big question. What time? What is the best streaming time? Like, if we're gonna what appeals most to people? We could do evenings. Days are kind of tough because of the work thing, but weekends, like, I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not like a stream scientist here. If anyone has any input, please share it on the Discord. And also, when we do this again, which we certainly will do soon, hop on, play with us. I don't think we see invites while we're streaming. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. Like, we don't, if you like invite us to play with you while we're doing a stream, it doesn't come up on my monitor. Like, it mutes all of that shit, I feel like. So, just be ready, baby. We'll hop in there.
Yeah, and like we touched on, whether you're a streamer or not, one thing I really found from this is, like you said, being able to go back and rewatch your gameplay in full, it's illuminating. I learned a lot about myself, and one of the biggest things I realized that I'm doing wrong, that I've seen a lot of streamers harp on, is I have what is known as, in the gaming, FPS world, I have poor centering, which means, like, when you're running around, by default, your little crosshair should be fairly centered. They should be like looking, dead center towards where if a guy were to run in front of you, you'd be aiming basically right at their chest. Whereas I noticed with me, when I'm running around, I kind of got my head down a little. That cursor's a little lower than it should be. And so what that does is when there's like an unforeseen gunfight or enemy coming into my time, I'm losing a little bit of time trying to aim back up at them. So like, I'm learning how to improve. That was kind of cool from it. I recommend it to anyone even out there. Maybe record a game or two yourself, rewatch it. It's a different experience sitting back, watching as that objective viewer. Did you have any sort of light bulb moments in watching your stream?
Not really. I think I may need to keep my head up a little bit as well. I've noticed maybe that's probably something that I need to work on as well. But no, I was pretty happy with my gameplay during the stream. I mean, I think that it wasn't so much like my overall gameplay. I think it was just like a little overwhelming at first in like the first 10 minutes of the stream. Because as you said, like, technically I was like, wait, is this thing working? Okay, the comments are coming through. It's like, oh shit, I want to respond and interact with these comments. But then I'm also like trying to focus on the game. Like, you can't like, split your mental energy on both of these things once the game starts. You got to get in the fucking zone. So I think that's really, where my improvement can be made is like, listen, when I got to flip that light switch when the time is right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And another thing maybe is there was a moment in rewatching it, where we go out of our way, the three of us alive. We buy your ass back late in the game. You drop into the upper floor of the building across from the headquarters in prison. And, literally on the mic, the three of us are a floor or two below you, getting massacred in the middle of a gunfight. And what is the cowboy doing? He's up there fucking trying to pick up this MAC-10, takes him 5 tries, and then it's like, okay, he's got the MAC-10, he's gonna be coming in to help us. No, he decides, I gotta check out this gas mask, do a little fucking shimmy, finally gets down to the floor. I'm literally screaming on there like, oh, they're coming in.
Yeah. So, in my mind, I was playing the safe route. It's like, it's kind of what you do. It's like, if there's a gunfight, you usually run away and then let me die before you come pick me up.
Oh.
So in this instance, I was thinking, just for like, the betterment of the stream, I wanted it to keep the game keep going. So if you guys were all wiped off the map beneath me, when Rebirth, I would still stay alive, so that was my thought process there. And I knew and what ended up happening, you guys wiped that team. It was great. It was fine. Like, I knew you guys had it, but worst case scenario, I would have hold the fort down. So we kept it going. So that's where my mindset was. I also did drop in, didn't have full plates. It took me a while to pick up this MAC-10 for some reason. It was just a lot of things. And to be honest, I don't think I was even listening to you at that point because I was so focused on trying to pick up the MAC-10. I couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on, that I wasn't listening to you screaming that there were people downstairs. It just wasn't in my mind.
Okay, well, for the record, it wasn't just me screaming. It was your other teammates under siege. Yes, we survived by the skin of our ass. You came down like, oh, where are they at? Where are they at? They're already gone. We're like rezzing 2 of us. Ended up, I think, winning that round. But yeah, hell of a time. Now we got some gameplay. Now you really got a glimpse inside, what it's like for these amateurs dropping in. Hoping, to keep playing more in the future, drop in with more listeners. Had a great time. We'll keep you all updated, but that was really it for the stream. The other thing I would like to bring to everyone's attention that I learned this week was really illuminating was J-God posted a video titled, which barrel should I be using on my Cold War rifle? And it was actually really interesting, and essentially it boiled down to very simple. You're essentially on the Cold War rifles, which is like the ARs, and I guess the ARs only. You're either going to want to use the very last barrel, which is barrel number 6, or the number 4 barrel, in pretty much every single instance. And in terms of specifics, it's really actually quite simple. You're going to want to use the number 6 barrel for every single Cold War AR, except for pretty much the Krig, which, in his opinion, the 4th barrel is the best for the Krig. It goes down to basically you're going to get the maximum damage range, recoil control, and bullet velocity, kind of going to give you the best blend for those guns. So that was a tip I wanted to throw out there. That was helpful for me. I've since switched my Krig to that barrel number 4. I've been really loving where I'm at.
Yeah, I rock the Ranger barrel, which is the 4th barrel down there on the Krig, and I like it as well. Yeah, that's usually what I do, and it's interesting. It's a kind of an interesting observation. I wonder where they have it that way.
So similar, when it was the Modern Warfare weapons, you always kind of defaulted to the longest barrel. With this, it's essentially the same. It's kind of going to be that last option, but I guess for the Krig, you go for the 4. The other thing we got an update on is last week we talked about the new Payload game mode, and this week we dropped into it. What was your first impressions on that thing?
Oh, it was the worst game mode I've ever played in Warzone, no question about it. Fucking sucked. I mean, I really don't have much to say about it. It was terrible. I don't understand. I guess if you wanted the level weapons, it's probably a good thing, because you're constantly killing and dying and killing and dying. It felt more like a multiplayer mode, It was like, it felt like Black Ops Cold War, It didn't feel like Warzone. It was weird. I didn't like it. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's up there, probably at the top of the list in terms of worst, most useless, least fun game modes they've introduced into Warzone that I've personally played. The main issue for me is I don't think they really initiate you to that game mode very well at all. Like, there's no sort of, here's a quick how-to that you can skip if you want to, but if you're new to it, check it out, or like some basic tips. We literally drop in. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. There's these 2 trucks moving. I'm like, okay, I guess we gotta help these trucks. And then I'm like, well, wait, do they have their own trucks I should be destroying? Wasn't clear. Later on, I realized, yeah, one team protects and the other attacks, and then they switch. But I'm with you. I think really the only real benefit this game mode offers is to level weapons. So last week we said, like, it seems like there's a pretty stark division between how people feel about it. Personally, here I'm in the camp of this is fucking dumb. Give me an extra Rebirth playlist instead of this bullshit.
100%. It's like, I think you bring up a good point. They don't explain anything at all. At all. Like, and we're going to talk about this. These, they make these like cinematic storyline videos that are, God knows what they're trying to accomplish with those. Why not make like a fucking dope trailer that has to do with the payload delivery so people can like watch the content? There's maybe a little bit of a backstory. It gives them like an emotional, there's some like arc there that you have to complete this because it's going to save Verdansk. Just give us something. And then we can play the game mode and we have a general understanding of it with like the mission at hand. But no, they make these fucking terrible cinematic things that have nothing to do with the gameplay, which we're going to talk about soon. It's just, you're right. They should be, I don't understand who's driving the ship sometimes. It makes no sense to me at all.
Dude, you actually, in saying that, once again, like the light bulbs, I guess that's the title of this episode, is Illumination, because the light bulbs are going off. And I think that's really what's been missing with all of these cinematics and making them meaningful. Well, there's a lot missing, but I think one of the big things missing is, when you play Call of Duty campaign, they have the cutscenes, they have the cinematics, but then you go into the world of that story and you're like immersed in it, and shit you're doing in theory has an impact on it. Even though the story's predetermined, in the end, it doesn't really matter, but you at least feel like you're a part of it. And with all of these Warzone seasons, there's never been that. Like, even when the satellites were on Verdansk, they could have made it some cool thing where like, okay, this is your fucking goal by, doing the satellite recon, you're helping the good guys win or some shit like that. And then you're kind of like, okay, now I'm more immersed in the story. I have more of a grasp of what's at stake. I'm part of it. Whereas it's like, no, they just send these storylines out that are supposed to be like the context of what's going on and in the story, but the story doesn't fucking exist beyond these little 2-minute snippets we get every 2 months that are convoluted as fuck and don't have any sort of like through line or anything. But that's kind of what your thoughts, I think, really illuminated in me.
Yeah, like it wouldn't be that difficult for them to simply tie a couple of things in. Like, you take the satellite recon, for example, that you just brought up. Yeah, like add some kind of like throw us a bone, throw us a backstory. Like, let us know what's going on. Like, they don't do that ever with anything. And then they release this. This is a good transition into another terrible cinematic story trailer that they've released. I think it's been this last week. That literally makes zero sense. I believe it's one shot on a fucking briefcase laying next to a bench in Verdansk. And it's there. And it's like a slow push in on this just briefcase. And it's talking about, I mean, God knows what, because I wasn't paying attention. It was so stupid. But I know it had nothing to do with anything. And then all of a sudden the briefcase gets picked up and it's gone. And it's like, oh my God, that's crazy. It literally has nothing to do with anything. It's so stupid. And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, it's like you listen in on this phone call. Of course, it's cryptic and it's like, oh, and they try and build all this suspense. But again, nobody has any fucking idea what Stitch's master plan is. Where's the Nova 6? Where's the ship that came from back in time? Where's the satellites? None of that shit makes sense. It was just kind of thrown at the wall. Like, if we had, Stitch is launching these satellites and he's going to try and reverse the fucking rotation of the Earth, Superman, the original Christopher Reeve Superman style, to reverse time, space continuum or some shit. Like, that's great. It's ridiculous, but at least it's a tangible goal that I can like either root for or against. And this, I mean, we commented it from our official Twitter account on this cinematic. I was like, look, these videos are like a fucking inside joke that none of us are a part of. So nobody has any idea what's being teased here.
I just think it's so stupid. Who's in charge of this stuff? Who's leading this ship? Like, this company is spending money to create these trailers. Obviously, they like have content creators making this stuff. They're recording the phone call. They're obviously the animation, like they're paying people to do this. Like, where does this fit into their plan? I would love to know how they think this fits in and what the benefit is of this kind of shit. I don't play a lot of video games aside from this. I'm curious, are there other games that do this well? Is this just like an industry standard for video games, making terrible trailers that have nothing to do with the actual gameplay itself? Or is this just this game? It's just these people?
Well, it's kind of a difficult question because in all other instances, for the most part, the storylines are relegated to like the single player campaign mode, as so to speak. So, in previous Call of Duties, they've had some really awesome campaigns. There's been ones where like you're playing the protagonist and then at the end you get killed and double crossed, and it's like, you feel some emotional weight there. Or like you're tracking the guy, I think it was like name was Antov or some shit in one of the early games, and you're like really trying to get this guy and he's just a step ahead of you and you're trying to assassinate him and getting close, this and that. They kind of, I feel like, tried to adopt that, to give it this sort of additional weight throughout the season. So each season is like a new chapter of the story, but it's not developed in the same coherence. It's just not there right now. So, whoever they got right in the patch notes clearly has some gusto when it comes to writing and communicating. Maybe they need to fucking like hire some more of those guys, bring them over to the storyline team, work them a little bit there. I don't know. Again, I didn't own Black Ops or Modern Warfare, so I didn't get to play those campaigns. I can't speak to how good they were, but certainly lacking when it comes to the Warzone storyline.
It's almost like they, like a company has a budget for something, right? And if they don't spend it, the next year they're going to cut that obviously from the budget. So they like have this budget for trailers and content. So they like have to make it. So they just like pump shit out just to like spend the money. So just in case they ever need to do something good, they have it. I just don't get it. It's so stupid to me. It's so stupid.
Yeah, well, enough negativity there. We're hoping, I guess it's going to be coming to hopefully a merciful end here, because that brings us really to our next topic, that Season 5 is rapidly approaching. It looks like the deadline is set to begin on August 12th. We'll be getting a new season, potentially the final season of Cold War. I'm not sure about that, just speculating. The other thing that's rumored is that we're going to be getting a lot more, the official reveal of the next Call of Duty sometime in the coming month. Okay,
so break this down for me like I don't understand, which I definitely do, but let's pretend that I don't understand. We have Season 5 coming out. I understand that. And then after that, this new thing, what is it? Can you explain like what this new game mode is? Are we talking Warzone still? Like, are we renaming this podcast? Like, what is next?
Next is a new standalone Call of Duty game. So, when we first started the podcast, the most recent standalone Call of Duty was Modern Warfare from 2019. That's what the engine's built on. And then last year, they introduced their next standalone game, which was Call of Duty Black Ops. They released them essentially one a year, and they kind of alternate between development teams that do that. So we've been now almost a year into, not almost, but we're quite a ways into Black Ops Cold War. It's running its course. It's time once again for the next Call of Duty to be appearing, which will, yes, bring in a whole new shebang of Warzone integration. Warzone isn't going to go away. They said that's going to be kind of continuing on as the release titles. It sounds like it'll even continue on when they release their next game in 2022, whatever that's going to fucking end up being. But as it stands, we're expecting the next standalone game, as we've talked about, is going to be, codenamed Vanguard. It's going to be set in World War II. We've talked about how there's going to be new maps and new weapons and all that shit.
So it's going to be like when it was, it was Warzone, and then they integrated the Black Ops into Warzone, Cold War into Warzone. And it was like, it changed everything, right? They integrated all these new weapons, and it was like...
Exactly.
That's basically what's going to happen again.
And I don't know, we've talked about this, I don't know if you remember, but when they did the official unveil that the next game was going to be Black Ops Cold War, they had this whole in-game reveal in Warzone. That was actually how it was revealed, is you went and you ran to Stadium, and then they showed the trailer for the new Black Ops Cold War. So maybe we'll be getting something like that for the next standalone Call of Duty. Not sure. As we've said, it's, I believe, Sledgehammer Games is the developer. Who've done some of the World War II themed CODs in the past. Lot riding on it, though. Lot riding on it.
Oh, that's right. Then Vanguard is a World War II theme.
Yes. Is it coming back to you now?
Now it's all coming back to me. Yes, great.
Okay.
And when is that supposed to happen? At the end of this year?
Well, I'm not sure the release date. I'd imagine, yeah, holiday. If I had to guess, I would say November-ish of 2021. But the big reveal about what to expect, all the details, is got to be coming soon. People are speculating August is when we should be getting that.
Interesting. We're getting it this month. That's great. Yeah, I think we're getting to a point where we need some of that new blood, and it's good. It's great to hear that the Warzone will be around for years to come, and it will just be integrated with new Call of Duty games. It's great for the podcast. Great for the pod.
It's great for the podcast, but I mean, as we talked about before we hit the record button on this episode, which I mean, we need to address is like, I'm back to where like I feel like Warzone's in a rough space now. It's not because of the weapon balancing, it's not because of the gameplay. I think really it's being plagued with this cheating issues. The maps I think gone stagnant. Verdansk, I've seen a lot of the big streamers are rotating away from Warzone. They used to only exclusively stream Warzone. Now they're dabbling with other things. Other people are literally taking like weeks off. You even got J God putting a video out that's like Warzone's in the worst spot it's ever been. Like the alarm bell's got to be fucking ringing. How do you think they can kind of get this game back to where it was?
Well, I think before I answer what they could do, I think I'll answer what they should have done, and that wasn't reskin the Verdansk map. I think if they had introduced a new full map back when that happened, we'd be in a completely different place now. But no, they just reskinned it. They made it an 80s map and introduced 80s action figures and, did that thing, which we all know. So moving forward, I think the only way out of this is a new map. It changes everything. Like, it brings down the sweatiness instantly, It just has to happen. I mean, I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of because, well, and obviously banning cheating. I feel like they put the effort into ban cheaters. There's always new cheaters though, so I feel like they need to make that more of a priority. But I mean, if you could ban the cheaters and you could introduce a new map, this game would it'd be young again, baby. It would just be alive.
Well, when surveying the community, I've seen polls put out there. You always see the comments. The number one thing on everyone's, top of their list is an anti-cheat. Like, it's one thing to, yes, retroactively ban cheaters, but the issue is they just get new accounts, they reinstall, whatever, they flip their VPN to a new IP address or whatever the hell it is, and they're back in the game. Whereas other games have like a built-in software that can actively detect, like, okay, somebody's clearly cheating this game, they're instantly fucking banned, and the moment they try that shit again, they're banned again. Like, they need something to aggressively curtail this because, yes, it's ruining the experience. I saw a great post where they were basically like, look, man, the cheaters are the real players out there right now. The rest of us playing without cheats, we're just the bots that, they're running around slaying us, having the time of their fucking lives. Like, we're these dumbass little AI guys that you play, running around like idiots. And it's not a good feeling to feel like that when you're trying hard and some asshole with cheats is like gunning you down, not even looking. It totally ruins it. So I think a map's going to do a lot, but I don't know the diagnosis, or I guess the prescription at this point to get it back. I think maybe they need to like shake it up though, like maybe expand it so now it's 200 players in a match or some sort of wrinkles. It needs more depth because I think, like you had said, if they hadn't reskinned Verdansk, we'd be in a much different place. I think, yeah, we would have been in a better place, but I still feel like after 8 months of any given map or whatever it may be, it's going to start to get fucking stale.
Yeah, I mean, imagine this for just a second. Imagine that Warzone's main map switched every 4 months. Like, imagine how much fun that would be. It changed constantly. And it was like, as soon as you got used to it, they changed it up. And you had all these different maps. And it was just like, once one comes, the other goes, and it's over. And you could have gripes against the current map, but if you don't like that map, it's going away. If you love it, it's staying for only 4. Like, they could do that, right? It would make the game so much more refreshing constantly. But no, we have the same fucking map.
Yeah, that, or maybe even have multiple maps at one time. Like, and when like we had speculated, we were hoping like, oh, maybe they're going to reskin Verdansk and give us a second one, and then we get to bounce between the two for the main battle royale experience. Not the case, but yeah, other battle royales certainly have amped it up, have done it. I agree with you. Let us explore different locales. That's kind of the beauty of, again, going. I think they need to take more inspiration from the campaign experience. I think they've been relying too much on what works for multiplayer and not enough about what works for the fucking keeping people engaged, like, in a single setting type of thing. Like, imagine if, okay, yeah, like you said, 1 month we're whisked away and it's the desert map, and instead of having all these tall buildings like a downtown type thing, it's like a way open, traversing natural terrains like caverns and shit. And then, yeah, on the other flip side, it's like a purely city one where it's like really vertically based. I don't know, but I'm with you. We need more variety. Is the fucking spice of life, man, and it's getting stale. We need to be sprinkling a lot there on heavily.
Yeah, I mean, we got ideas. Raven, Activision, hit us up. We can help with so many parts. Just let us know. We will bring our ideas to the table. We will put pen to paper for you for a very high fee. So let me ask you this then. When this Vanguard, the Vanguard thing that's coming up, are we talking new map?
Yeah, they've teased that. I don't know where your brain is. We've talked about it on the show. Yes, they've teased that it's supposed to be like the biggest ever Warzone map.
That's right.
And it's going to be based in the Pacific Theater.
That's right.
As the connections they're firing off here in the brain.
The neurons are connecting. Yes,
okay.
The tissue is growing. Yes.
I know you're a science guy, so.
I'm a big science, I'm a big everything guy, but that's awesome. And I can't wait for that. I think, it's like the same mechanics of the game at that point, but it is pretty much a new game, which is what we want. We want the Warzone game mode where you're essentially, you get dropped on a map with a bunch of motherfuckers and last man standing wins. Love it. Perfect. We love like the way that the balances of the guns has come, the variety of weapons, the way the weapons work, love it. It's working. Boom. But what's not working is it's the same shit over and over again, and it's been a long fucking time, and they need to fucking get a new map in here, and that would make everything great. That's how I feel.
Well, with each passing day, we're a day closer to the release of Battlefield 2042 and Halo Infinite. So it's like, the competition is breathing down their neck. Yes, they're not releasing battle royales, but you gotta believe the people that are frustrated with Warzone are going to be looking for, greener pastures to move on to. But speaking of kind of the newness, final topic to wrap us up here, one thing I thought that was really, it was kind of like gut-wrenching and sad in some ways, bittersweet, but it's back to Z Laner. He released a video late this week where he went back and watched his very first ever victory in Warzone. And it was just pretty amazing to watch how different the game was. Like, even people as sweaty as him were kind of like fish out of waters. Like he was talking about late in the game, he says like, oh, I know my hands were shaking then. I was so nervous. He wasn't slide canceling everywhere. You weren't getting fucking beamed the moment you peeked out of a building. It was like really sloppy. Everyone was learning the game. People were using vehicles. There was no like, oh, this is how you do X, Y, Z. If you don't do it, you're at a disadvantage and you're going to fucking get your ass kicked. Everyone was running weird scopes and builds and shit. And I really long for that time. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. It was the innocent age, it was before. We were all virgins, we didn't know what was coming, and it was a beautiful time. I'm trying to remember my first Warzone win. I think it was in a quads, and I was just carried to the finish line with some great players. But yeah, I mean, like, there was slide canceling, bunny hopping, like all of that was like not a thing. It was just like I didn't even enable my tactical sprint to be auto set until like 7 months into the game. It was such a different time back then. I mean, Z Laner is as sweaty as they get, but damn, yeah, but I wish I had that video. I feel like I could find that video. Maybe it's on my old PS4. I'm sure I clipped it when we won.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, back then I had a buddy that we would run with him. He would run smoke grenades as like his tactical, and he would use those for our team to give us like cover when we were traversing open areas. And it was just, I don't know. I think that's one thing they need to go back to, is somehow like get us back to that stage of discovery that kind of balances things out, because Zlander touched on it in the video, like the collective skill level of the average player has just gone up exponentially that time, to where the room for error for mistakes now is just so minuscule that for many, especially like us, it just kind of takes the joy out of the game. The playing field's too fucking tilted. I think they need to find a way to level that out. I know a map's going to go a big way towards that, but there's got to be some other things they could be doing.
Yeah. Or maybe they can separate out more, what they say that when you join lobbies, like it's based off of whoever the host is. And it's like, if they have an insane level, then like you're probably going to get harder lobbies, I feel like. But then if they're like an amateur, like really low, like a brand new account, you'd probably get, or it's like, I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe they can separate the way that lobbies are chosen up more efficiently. I don't know, but you're right. It's like the collective level of gameplay is so high. It's just like, I don't know if there's a simple fix to the problem at this point, because everybody plays so much, has put in so many hours over the last year and a half. It's just, it is what it is. You have to kind of hit a reset button. I don't see what the reset button is aside from a new map where you're, I think it's just the way it is. You gotta change the foundation.
Well, you talk about them hiring us. I gotta say though, in this instance, I'm glad I'm not in their position, because the pressure's gotta be mounting up. We got a lot riding here, especially with this new game. Like, if this new game's a flop and it comes right around the same time these competitors are out, it could be fucking disastrous for the player base, could be disastrous for the Warzone Amateur Hour media empire. We're ready to pivot at any time though, like we're loyal to Warzone, baby. But if the greener pastures come along, I don't know, man. Maybe we rebrand and keep going. We're going to do whatever's the most fun, the most, engaging. And right now that's Warzone, but that could change. We'll have to see. A lot of uncertainty here moving forward, but I'll maintain hope.
Yeah, I mean, we'll sell out. We'll follow the money. If someone's going to throw us a fat bag of cash, I'll play Pokemon. Whatever, baby. I'm there.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week on the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. Thank you all so much for dropping in. As we said, thank you so much to everybody who took part in our first ever stream this week. Really appreciate it. You helped our channel grow. We're going to hopefully be doing more from henceforth. We're sorry if you've been trying to play with us. I know we got a lot of awesome people out there, particularly King Kong, who's really supported our Discord. Been trying to get into games with people, but the schedules have been in flux. It's not as simple as you would think, but we are trying.
Yes, it's not as simple as, you and I have a hard time just finding time to play together these days. But summertime is tough, you get busy all of a sudden, shit's going on. Like it's hard. We're definitely going to try to get in there more and more. And then, we're certainly going to stream again. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be. But yeah, we got to do that soon. Yeah, we got to do it soon.
But stay tuned for those details. And yes, if you're out there, rock that Warzone Amateur Hour clan tag or regiment tag. That's what we're going to be looking for when we go through the friends list. But yes, we will talk to you next week. And until then,
good luck in the gulag. And if you're not a part of the Discord, join the Discord. We have a suggestions area in there. We take that shit seriously. Please give us tips, ideas, thoughts, especially as we enter the streaming space. We read and listen to everything, so we really appreciate all that. And if you have any thoughts for us, anything that you think that would benefit us, or like whatever, hit us up, let us know. We're here, baby.
Good luck in the gulag.